And now let's continue with our face-to-face segment with Chandi.
Welcome to Face to Face. Today with Face to Face, we have a very well-known face with us, that is Professor Subramani. As we all know, Professor Subramani is an academic and also a writer. And also, he is an editor of the very well-known newspaper Asia Pacific Voice. Professor, welcome to the Fiji TV.
I'm very pleased to be here.
Professor, the Asia Pacific Voice was launched about December last year, if I'm right. And in a less than a year's time, you have made this paper into one of the very well respected papers in the community. Tell us, how did you manage to achieve this?
Well, there has been a need for a newspaper like this, and various people have been talking about such a newspaper, but there was a lack of audacity, I would say. And the paper came about through a meeting of different individuals at the right time. And I think this is how things happen when you have the right moment and you have the right people, and you have something important being created. And this is how it happened. There have been people who were committed to a newspaper, the idea of a newspaper, and they had the courage to launch on something adventurous like this, and they showed considerable commitment, and I think that's how it came about, and that's the reason for its success, the team that came together.
As compared to a lot of the other papers, what we've noticed with Asia Pacific Voice is that it has a very large emphasis on social and community issues. Professor, tell us, was that a conscious decision to go that way?
Media always has a social responsibility, and the aim of a newspaper or television, any form of media, is to educate and entertain. And sometimes newspapers go one way or the other. And we very consciously decided that our objective is to educate the community, not to teach or preach, but provide a forum in which we could have some sort of dialogue going on between different sections of the community. So I think we were very conscious that what we wanted to do was to serve the community and to highlight issues in the community and so on. But the other side of a newspaper is also to provide some sort of entertainment, provide news and so on. And we do that, and I think that is a very good balance.
Professor, another thing we noticed was that all of your articles, features in this paper, they have a very distinct quality about them. How do you manage this?
Well, there's an abundance of talent in the Fijian community. There are a lot of writers, journalists and so on. And the group that came together, there are people who are writers, and they are committed to writing original articles and original essays. And that's a very good thing, that we don't depend on the whole business of cutting and pasting and borrowing material from elsewhere, because we are writers, because we are artists of one sort or another. We believe in creating original material, and I think that has been the strong point about the Asia Pacific Voice, that a large proportion of what appears in the paper is all original, and they're not borrowed from elsewhere.
Well, now we have Mr. Vijen Prasad joining us, who is the CEO of the newspaper, the Asia Pacific Voice. Mr. Prasad, welcome to Fiji TV.
Thank you, Chandi.
Mr. Prasad, first we have to congratulate you on your achievements for making the Asia Pacific Voice for what it is today. What was your role in this whole success story?
Well, put it this way, I have a very good, committed team who are associated with me, people who are associated with me. So my task becomes easier than it would otherwise would have been if I did not have that level of commitment.
Well, you're actually the anchor of this team who's bringing this paper out. And as you mentioned earlier, this team consists of various people with very big expertise in their own fields. How do you feel, and what's your experience in working with these various different kinds of experts?
Well, the first thing is that this team that I'm working with, being the anchor, always call me anchorman, but I would say that I have got propped up by a very strong steel rope, so to speak. And my role in working in my interaction with this team, that I'm always finding it very friendly and helpful advice coming from them. And also the fact that they're also very committed to the community type of spirit that you do not find always in all the papers. And that commitment and the spirit that is displayed makes it easier for a person like me to work hand in hand with these people, and they work reciprocate likewise. And have I answered your question?
Well, it's definitely a very good answer. I mean, what you're basically saying is there is a very big supportive team behind you, although they are
Yes.
experts
Yes.
in their own fields.
Yes.
As a team together, they give you a real good support to bring this paper out.
Exactly. I think the people who are associated with me, be they are in the area of production or in the editorial area of writers, come with a wealth of experience, and that experience is a very good asset for our organization.
And you're probably very lucky to have such a group of people backing you up.
Exactly.
Apart from being a very successful CEO of a newspaper, you're also a very high-profile community worker. How does your community work and your image as a community worker help with the promotion of the paper?
Well, just I'd like to correct that notion that I'm very high-profile community worker. I do take part in community work, with the view that we all can improve ourselves. I think that is many other people playing that role in different areas or in different communities. But I think my position as a solicitor, a lawyer, and combined with community work and my own approaches to people, I think I am a person that have my own way of doing things. And be sympathetic to people at times, and love and compassion. Those are the elements of that contributes to the success of what we are set to do.
Coming back to you, Professor Subramani, this issue, the August issue of the Asia Pacific Voice, is so much focused on the community issues. What promoted you to go in this direction?
The Fiji Indian community is a community in transition, and a lot of us who are able to see from a distance know that it's moving from one way of life to another way of life. And when that happens, a lot of social problems erupt. And these social problems, not everybody is able to see clearly. And from the media point of view, we are able to see that the community is caught up between, assimilating in the Australian mainstream culture and finding some ways in which to integrate. Assimilating would mean that you have to give up your old way of life and take on the Australian way of life. And I think a lot of young people are beginning to do that. But the older generation would prefer to integrate. That is, to have something of their own and pick some valuable cultural norms from the mainstream culture. It's not always easy to integrate because it's very difficult to decide what are the valuable things that you want to preserve and what you want to take from the mainstream culture. So this causes a great deal of confusion. And that is what I mean, that the community is caught up between two ways of life. We thought that the Fijian community is an ideal community to have some dialogue with regarding these matters. And the forum in the current issue of the Asia Pacific Voice presents that opportunity for people in the community to speak about these issues and have a conversation. And we are very happy that we are able to do that, and we would like to carry on that conversation in subsequent issues.
Speaking of subsequent issues, what is going to be your main focus for the Asia Pacific Voice in the near future?
We do not want to lose the community focus. I think that will always be there. We would like to generate more articles from the community itself. I'm sure that there are a lot of people who want to express themselves, and we would like to encourage them to express themselves through the Asia Pacific Voice. We would also like to achieve a greater balance. We do not want to be overwhelmingly community oriented in our articles. We would like to have entertainment, and we would like to have a lot more information, and we also want to provide space for achievers in the community and review books and films and so forth. So I think one of the aims would be to have a very balanced Asia Pacific Voice in the future.
Coming back to you, Mr. Prasad, now that the newspaper is in a very good position, what is your future vision for the paper?
Our future vision of the people that we are working together is to make this paper, the Asia Pacific Voice, the everlasting paper for our community. It becomes a permanent feature. And when we, for some reasons, are not there, it becomes our gift to the community.
Well, as you both mentioned and we all know, the Asia Pacific Voice is doing a big service, a tremendous service to the community. So I would like to wish you good luck with all your plans with the paper for the future. And on behalf of Fiji TV, Mr. Prasad and Prof. Subramani, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedules and being here with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Well, that brings us to the end of face-to-face segment for today. I hope you enjoyed our conversation with two very prominent figures from our community. Until next time, it's goodbye from me.
We hope you enjoyed today's program. For further information on Fiji TV, please contact Satish Rai.